Hey guys, welcome to 3D Studio. In this video, we are going to see how you can convert this into this. So let's get started. As you guys can see, we are inside the Blender right now. Once you open the Blender, you will have this splash screen which you are going to select the environment that you are going to work with. We have general, we have 2D animation, sculpting, VFX and video editing. It doesn't matter whatever you choose because we can change it from these tabs in the future according to our requirement. If you want to hide this splash screen, click on anywhere in this open 3D space to hide it. So we are going to hide it now. Basically, once you get into the Blender, you will have these three components preloaded into your 3D scene. The first one is a cube, and the second one is a point lamp, and the third one is a camera. So, if you want to navigate in this 3D space, you have these options over to your right. This is called gizmo. So, if you hold it and drag, you can pan around the object. If you want to zoom in, you can see that there is a magnifying glass symbol over here. If you click on it and if you drag, you can see we can zoom into the object and zoom out of the object. So this is the symbol of a hand which you can use to move the view of your camera or your perspective. So for example, if I want to move this cube to my right, I'm going to hold it and move my mouse to the right so I can move it. And this is the camera option over here which will toggle the camera view. And this is the perspective and orthographic view. Perspective view is a 3D view and orthographic view is a 2D view. So now we are going to discuss about the tools over here. The first one we have is the box select. The box select tool is used to select multiple objects at a single time. So for example, as you guys can see, I have selected all these objects at once. If you want to do it separately, you have to shift click on each and every object to select them individually. Whereas using box select, you can select all at once. So next option is the cursor tool. The cursor tool is a crucial tool. So the wherever the cursor is, that's where the object is going to be placed once you add it. The third one is move tool. For example, if you select this object, if you want to move it, as you guys can see, there are three colors highlighted on the cube, which represents three axes. The green represents y-axis, red represents x-axis, and blue represents z-axis. If you want to move the cube in x-axis, you have to grab the red arrow and drag it. The similar case with both y-axis and z-axis. The fourth tool is rotate tool. This works as similar to the move tool, but it rotates the object in a particular axis. And the next option is scale. Scale option is used to increase the size of the component symmetrically in any axis that you want. For example, I'm scaling the object in y-axis. As you guys can see, it's symmetrically scaling the object. It's not scaling the object on one side, it's doing it on the both sides to maintain the symmetry. Now the last tool we are going to discuss is transform tool. The transform tool is used to move, rotate and scale the object at once. So the transform tool is basically the combination of all these three tools. However, we are not going to use any of these buttons because we are going to use mostly the shortcuts. So now I'm going to say you the shortcuts of all these and all these tools. So the first thing is I'm going to hide this toolbox by pressing T, and I'm going to show you the shortcuts for these first. For example, for panning, instead of holding the gizmo and rotating, You can hold your middle mouse button and rotate it. If you want to zoom in, just scroll your middle mouse button to scroll in and out. If you want to move the object in a scene, you can shift click and hold your middle mouse button and you can move the object wherever you want. If you want to snap onto the camera view, press number 0 on your number pad, it will snap onto your camera. And if you want to change the view from orthographic to perspective and back, you can use the number 5 on your number pad to change it. So these is all the shortcuts you are going to use mostly, and now we are going to discuss about the toolbar over here. The first one is properties tool. This shows the tool that you have selected and the workspace you are working in. The second option is a render engine. Eevee is a game render engine and Cycles is a real-time render engine. Workbench is similar to Cycles but it's under development. And here we have the output tab in which we can select the resolution of our output rendered image, and you can, if you are example, if you are creating an animation, you can set the frames and you can do time remapping over here. This is the output folder that you can choose where you are rendered to be saved, and you have many type of formats that you can save the rendered image in. The fourth tool is view layer properties. For example, it shows the properties of the layer that we are in. The fifth one is scene properties. It shows the scene details that we are currently now in. And the next one is world properties. The world properties denotes the background of the scene. For example, if I go to the render view and change the color, you can see the background is changing based on the color that I choose. And this is the collection properties. So we have some collections over here. Collection is a group of components that are saved in a single container. So if I hide this collection, all the components inside the collection is hidden. The next one is object properties. If I select the cube and if I select it, you can see the properties of the cube, the size of the cube, the location of the cube, the rotation angle of the cube, and many things. This is the modifiers tab in which you can add specific modifiers to your object. This is particle system, and this is physics tab in which you can provide physics to this object. This is constraints. It is used to create animations. For example, if you want to a light to follow a certain object, you can define a path and you can make that light follow the object by adding a constraint. And this is the object data properties. It shows the data properties of the object that you have selected. This is the material tab which you can give material to this object, and this is the texture tab which you are going to give textures to this object. So that is all the tools over here, and next we are going to talk about how to create or how to add textures, and I'm going to show you how you can make a simple UV sphere into a stone, or I'm going to set up the scene as you guys saw in the thumbnail. So first things you have to do is go to editor, go to preferences and click on add-ons. You are going to have to add an add-on called Node Wrangler. If you type Node, you can see that there is an option called Node Wrangler. The reason why we are using it is to simplify the texturing. For example, we are going to discuss this later because it's a bit complicated to discuss right now. So the first thing is I'm going to add an object. For adding an object, you can either go click on this or you can simply click Shift A and select it. I'm going to add a plane and I'm going to scale it by 10 so that I have a lot of room to work with. And now I'm going to add a UV sphere by clicking Shift A and going into the mesh and selecting UV sphere. As you as you guys can see, the sphere is clipping through this plane. So I want to lift it up. So I'm going to grab it and I'm going to set the constraint to z-axis so that it moves only in the z-axis and move it until it comes out of this plane. To smooth it out, select the object and click on right click, and you can select shade smooth option. So what it does is it makes the sphere look smooth. Now as we have the sphere over here, now I'm going to give the materials to this plane and the sphere. The first thing I'm going to do is give material for both of them, and then we will add the textures later. So we have given the material for both of them. Now I want to change this plane into a sand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this plane. If you go to this corner, you can see a plus icon appears over here. If you click and drag it, your window will be split into two. So in this window, I'm going to change it to shaded editor, in which I'm going to give some shading, or I'm going to provide some texture onto this plane, and I'm going to change the view into the material preview because I can see what I am doing in here. Now as you guys can see, now we are in the material preview right now, and I'm going to provide textures for this particular plane. So what we have to do is select the principal shader and set Control Shift T, which we will be directed into the file browser of our computer. As you guys can see, I have textures already downloaded from the website called Texture Haven. I'm going to use this sand texture to apply onto that plane. So you can select it by pressing A on your keyboard and then click on this principal texture setup button. As you guys can see here, the plane has already changed the way it looks. It's looking a bit weird because of the scaling. Once I scale it down, you guys can see. So let me scale it to 5 in x-axis and 5 in y-axis. It looks similar to the sand, or I might scale it a bit more by increasing it to 8 and change this value to 8. Now as you guys can see here, the texture of this plane has completely changed. You might ask why we have all these things, like you have base color, specular, normal, displacement, and you have a normal map, displacement map, everything. So what these does is change the properties of this particular plane on this chart. For example, if I remove this specularity chart, it's going to remove the property, and if I add this specularity, it's going to add its property based on the texture. So if you want to make a texture look realistic, you have to have the bumps. As we saw that the plane was plain without any bumps, these bump and normal maps, they help us to create the bumps in the map. Now we are going to change this sphere into a stone. Now I'm going to click on the sphere. The same thing in the shader editor. If I click on Principal BSDF and click Ctrl Shift T, will be directed into our file browser. I have downloaded the texture for stone, which I'm going to use is rock. This is the texture that I have downloaded, and press A and select principled texture setup button. As you guys can see, already the way the sphere looks has changed. Now as you guys can see, the sphere doesn't have any bumps. So to increase it, we are going to adjust the scale in the mapping I'm going to explain these nodes and other things later on because it's a bit complicated to explain for you guys right now. So I'm going to scale it to 5 in x-axis, 5 in y-axis, and 5 in z-axis. Now, as you guys can see, this pretty much looks like a stone. If you go into the camera view by pressing 0, you can already see that we have the stone on the surface of a sand. So now I'm going to adjust the camera by pressing N and going into the view. I can lock the camera to the view. This helps to set the camera to wherever or to whatever position that you want. For example, I have set this camera over here so that I can get a clear look about the details and the sun. Remember one thing, the key point for your render is the camera positioning. If you position camera somewhere like this, and if you want to render this scene, you can't do it because the camera is going to be rendered. So if you want to render your scene, you have to adjust the camera in such a way that all your components are inside this camera frame. Now I'm going to change it to the rendered view. As you can pretty much see here, our scene has completely changed. Now you can see that there are bumps on the stone and there are bumps even on the sand, which is added by adding this shader. And I'm going to go to the viewport, change it to the render view, and I'm going to remove the gizmo and the preset. I'm going to the camera view. Now the main thing is you have to adjust the lighting. You can select the light and move it by pressing G, and I'm going to move it a bit towards the stone and a bit forward to the stone. So as you guys can see on the left window, we can adjust the lighting based on the view of the camera. So now what we are going to do is we are going to render this image in cycles. So first thing we have to do before rendering is go into your output tab. If you want to increase the resolution, you can increase it, but I'm going to leave it at default. Now I'm going to select my output folder onto desktop. It's going to select the folder as our output folder. Now I'm going to change the format from PNG to JPG, and I'm going to increase the quality to 100%. Now if I press F12 on the keyboard, it's going to render it. It might take some time based on your processing power. Please be patient. As you guys can see, the render has completed and I'm going to save it onto my desktop. So I'm going to save it as stone.jpg. So once I hit save as an image, it's going to be saved onto my desktop. So this is how you can export a scene as a photograph. And that's it for today, guys. In the next video, I'm going to show you how you can do low poly modeling and how you can apply textures to the low poly models. And from next video, I'm going to create a scene. Thank you for watching this video. If you like my content, please subscribe to my channel and share the video to your friends.